everyone, and welcome once again. I am Vidyulata Prakash. I'm the Director of Marketing here at Intelliswift. We are so excited to have all of you here with us today. And we look forward to your active participation in today's session. And we've tried to keep it very interactive. So we are all well aware of how crucial efficient project management is, especially in today's business landscape, right? So not only does it guarantee business success by streamlining your processes and workflows, but it also helps in better communication and collaboration across all your teams, across all functions. So this webinar aims to showcase how Smartsheet can help you reduce some of the common project and program management challenges that most PMOs face today. A quick introduction of all our esteemed panelists. Today, we have panelists that are subject matter experts with very rich experience in project management and PMO tools. First, we have Kush Jain. Very warm welcome to you, Kush. He currently leads GTM partnerships at Smartsheet for Asia, and he has over 15 years of experience helping some of the world's fastest growing SaaS companies. We also have Tina Gosain, who is a commercial sales engineer at Smartsheet, with over 20 years of experience in quality management, product development, consulting, and solution engineering. Next up, we have Shekhar Anambotla. He's the Vice President of Solutions Engineering at Intelliswift, and he has been instrumental in transforming our customers' businesses. We also have Sanjay Kalra, Intelliswift's very own digital transformation Sherpa. Sanjay has a wealth of experience in information technology, product engineering, customer experience, cloud automation, data analytics, and AI. So that's a little bit about our speakers. Next, we move on to the agenda for today. So you can see the agenda on your screens. We will also have a live poll during the panel discussion segment. And we request all of you to kindly participate in the poll so that we keep it interactive and we actually answer some of the questions that you may actually have. So without further ado, I'd like to invite Kush Jain to introduce us to Smartsheet. Over to you, Kush.
Thank you, Vidyu, and thank you all for joining today and welcome to today's session. We're very excited to be partnering with Intelliswift and speaking to our Indian audience about rewiring your work management. So just to start with, so what is Smartsheet? So Smartsheet is a single platform for planning, managing, and executing on work across your organization. And organizations use Smartsheet to define and communicate strategy, execute on that strategy, and ultimately report on results that feed into the next strategic initiative. So who are we? So we're one of the industry leaders. We were the ones who kind of started this category, which is commonly called collaborative work management, and we continue to lead it. We have been in business for over 17 years at this point and have 3,000 employees globally. We've got customers across a range of industries and job functions across North America, Europe, Middle East, and Africa, as well as Asia. And our customer base is fairly large and complex. And as we've continued to grow, we are now up to 11 million connected users and over 100,000 customers. So we're very strong within the enterprise. So we have over 80% of the Fortune 500 companies, as well as 90% of the Fortune 100 companies that we call our customers. And some of our most strategic customers have kind of gone beyond the core capability of collaborative work management and project and portfolio management to really start to leverage Smartsheet as a critical platform and application that's used more broadly across their organization. We do have a growing ecosystem of partners, and a lot of our expansion is directly as a result of them. Intelliswift is absolutely an esteemed partner of ours, both in North America as well as here in India. And on the integration side, we've actually taken a pretty different approach from our competitors. So some of you may have heard of the company called Zapier. So we see ourselves similar to them on the integration side of things, where we focus on deep integrations that enable our customers to work the way they want to work and continue using the tools that they use such that they can scale. Yeah, so if you see, we're obviously leaders, but the amazing thing about this entire category of collaborative work is that literally a number of these solutions are all targeted at different kind of segments of the market, but the enterprise has made a decision that there is a strong need for this. And a lot of these companies are growing at kind of 40, 50% year on year. So if your organization is something that hasn't begun to deploy and adopt some of these solutions, you're at the right place to learn about it. Okay, so these are some customers. You'll recognize a lot of these major enterprises around the world. Our growth in this part of the world, we're only just getting started, but already the likes of Piramal and Adani and Flipkart, Arjun, along with a host of other customers are already beginning to see value in these kinds of solutions. And you're going to learn a lot more about it. So we can move on to the next slide. Okay, so why manage work in Smartsheet? So firstly, like I was saying, collaborative work management is an essential category. And over the past 14 years that we've taken charge of the development of this category, we've identified that the typical definitions of what it is and the capabilities that are included typically come up short, particularly when you're talking about organizations operating at a certain scale. And Smartsheet's the only platform that is basically doing both, the strategic planning part of it, as well as the operational excellence side of it. So when you think about these 6 principles, which is user-driven, secure, adaptable, scalable, collaborative, and unified, across the common enterprise solutions like your ERP systems, CRM systems, ITSM systems, the traditional systems index pretty high on security, scalability, and being able to be unified. But typically, if you're using them for work that's linear and standardized, or for use cases where people, aren't doing more than just transacting with these systems, they're okay, right? They don't deliver value where, you are looking for agility, where you're looking for user friendliness, and you're looking for collaboration. Similarly, if you look at what the status quo is when it comes to individual productivity solutions that are available on the marketplace, you've got pretty good solutions that are pretty adaptable, they're pretty collaborative, they're pretty intuitive, which are kind of meant for less technical users. But where those solutions fall short is around security and governance, around scalability, around the unification of people, information, as well as systems. So hopefully what you're going to see today is really how differentiated we are in this particular kind of segment of the market. So in terms of the platform, we're going to cover a lot of this today, but there's 3 main components. Firstly, there's capabilities for everybody. So, anyone who's doing any kind of knowledge work these days can get immediate value out of a platform like Smartsheet. So you've got your core components of sheets, dashboards, forms, automations, and formulas, which is capabilities for everybody. But then once you start thinking about the kind of capabilities you need at scale, when you're trying to build solutions for larger programs and processes and portfolios that are going to help you scale for more output from team members across more platforms, that's when you start to really see the value of a tool like Smartsheet. Okay, with that, I am going to hand it over to Sekar to take you through the next segment of this. Thank you and look forward to the rest of the presentation.
Thank you, Kush. Been a pleasure partnering with Smartsheet in this webinar. A quick introduction about Intelliswift. We're a global technology solutions company. We're headquartered in the Bay Area. We are a partner to 130 plus of the Fortune 500 companies. We operate in most of the key technology domains. We have technology as one of our key customer base because we are in the Bay Area. So BFSI, life sciences, both the pharma, biopharma, and medical devices. We have very good customers in the retail. We have manufacturing, construction, utilities. So we pretty much operate in most of the key domains that that our customers would like to partner with. And in terms of a portfolio, we cover 4 key segments. The first is product engineering, which covers the core software, the front end, back end, the microservices, the testing. Then we have the data management and analytics. Digital enterprise. This is the practice that Smartsheet falls in, where we help our enterprise customers in digitizing their workflow processes, and finally digital integrations. In terms of our spread across the globe, we have heavily invested in the US, but we have nearshore centers in Costa Rica and Hungary. Plus, we are widely spread in India as well. What you see in the slide are primarily the locations that we operate in, but we have customers across India. And in terms of our technology partnerships, to be able to help our customers in the digital transformation roadmap, apart from the key ones, Smartsheet has been one of our topmost priority customers, and primarily helping our customers in transforming their work management portfolio. So this is a very brief introduction about IntelliSwift, and we're glad to have you in this webinar.
Thank you, Shekhar. I think that was lovely to see how IntelliSwift had such a widespread, not just in terms of the industry focus, but also in terms of the offering and the location. So that was lovely. If you can go to the next slide. Now, I'm sure you all are really eager to see and dive into and see actually the wheels in motion and see how the product looks like. But let me take a minute over here to paint a picture conceptually and explain you how do we elevate Smartsheet to a modern PPM solution. Now, as you're all aware of, there are three main components of Smartsheet when we talk about, right? At its core, we have, as you're seeing, is your Sheets. Now, Sheets is where all your work and information is getting tracked. So when we're talking about a project, you could have a project plan and you could have budgets and you could be tracking risk and issues. So within Smartsheet, we could have multiple of these sheets for a project. And because these projects store a lot of information, or the sheets could be storing a lot of information, what we do is then we surface this information or aggregate and focus on key areas using reports within Smartsheet. So whatever information is in Sheet, we can aggregate into form reports. And finally, we surface this information onto these dashboards, onto project dashboards. So any key metrics, reports, charts, whatever you want to see and whatever is happening in your underlying sheet and reports, we can surface it onto these dashboards. Now, it is this concept of sheets, reports, and dashboard for a particular project that we put it together and call it as a template. Now, what happens is every time we have a new project, with a click of a button, Smartsheet's automation engine takes this copy of the template along with some automations that would have been defined and creates a project workspace, as you can see it in project A, B, and C on your right-hand side of the screen. Not only just it creates that project workspace, the automation engine then takes the key metric information from the individual project workspace and ties it up to the portfolio level dashboard. And by doing so, what it's really helping you achieve is giving you that visibility across your portfolio of your projects in a very consistent yet a very scalable manner. What it also does is say in 6 months or a year down the line, if things change in your project, we can very simply change the template set from where we started and roll those changes across the project, making the change management very easy. Now, depending on on the complexity of your organization, depending on what project management framework you're leveraging within the industry, project management can be very simple or can range from anywhere from simple to a very complex project management, right? So we could have different stages within that. But for the purpose of today's demo, we are going to be focusing on three main components of this, which we're going to see how we are going to use Smartsheet forms to do an intake of your projects. We are then going to execute these projects, manage these projects in Smartsheet, and then finally get our visibility through portfolio reporting. I'll now hand it over to Drujati to give you a quick sneak peek into how the product demo looks like.
Thank you so much, Tina. And Drujati leads the Smartsheet practice at IntelliSwift. Over to you, Drujati, for the demo.
Thanks, Tina. Thanks, Vidyu. Good morning, everybody. So as Tina was mentioning, the starting point for any PPM projects is the sheets. So this is the project intake form that will be presented to all the stakeholders or to the project managers, where they will come in, fill out the basic details that are needed for them to provision for a project, and they will submit this form. Once this form has been submitted, it will go and get itself registered onto the project intake sheet. So this you can say to be the holy grail of all the projects that are running within that organization. So as soon as the details have been submitted, automatically a approval workflow. So we can configure different types of workflows over here. So for this project intake sheet, as soon as a new request comes in, we will trigger out an approval workflow, which will be sent to the project stakeholders or to the authorized person who can approve of this project. Once the project has been approved, the Smartsheet Automation Center, which we know as Control Center, within which we will have all the templates, which are called as the blueprints, which is as Tina mentioned, it's a combination of sheets, reports, and dashboards. The Control Center will take that blueprint and provision the project work. So this is how the Control Center looks like, where we can have multiple blueprints. Now, provisioning this project as per the request can be automated, or it can be a manual process also, whereby the admin has to log into the Control Center, and at a click of a button, the project can be automatically provisioned. So once the project has been provisioned, the first thing you will notice is the project level dashboard. This gives the project manager, in a nutshell, the total view of what's going on within that project. It gives them the clear visibility of what's happening. As you can see, it gives us the important dates the project is starting or ending, what are the status of the tasks, who are the key people over here, what are the different risks that have been identified, what are the key milestones along with these dates, the tasks which are already overdue, which needs to be looked into, and the details of all the risk management. On top of that, we can also see at a resource level, who are the people who are working on this project, what has been assigned to them. We can see and we can just change the assignment. Suppose a person has been over allocated, we can move the task from one person to the other, or we can change the dates as and when needed. So one thing that you should all understand over here, that whatever components that we are showing over here are all configurable. It's nothing rigid that it has. Whenever we spin out a project, it will have this. No, all these components can be configured as per your organization's KPIs or the processes that we have. It's all configurable. It can be set up as per your requirements. So this is the project level dashboard in a nutshell, but the underlying data from where all these matrices are coming up are all saved over here. This is the sheet which contains all the different tasks that are assigned to the particular team members, what is the allocation percentage, what are the start dates, end dates, what is the current status, everything. This sheet gives you multiple views. You can see a grant view, a grid view, a card view, or a calendar view. With the grant view, you have the functionality of baselining this plan so that you can reference it at a later point of time. Smartsheet provides you the additional functionality of creating different workflows, notifications, reminders, update requests, so that you can free your team members of the mundane tasks that they have to go through on a daily basis. Rather, they can use the time saved fruitfully on completing the tasks that day. As you all know that during a project management, there are many documents that moves around between the team members. And at point of time, there are some conversations which are going on email, something is going on the Teams chat or the Slack, some documents are on Google Drive, some are on your desk. But that creates a chaos at the time of need to find the right conversation or the right document. Smartsheet provides us with the facility where we can effectively and efficiently collaborate between the team members and other stakeholders. So as you can see, these are the different tasks that are there for a particular group. So suppose there is so let's take a scenario that the system has application has been sent for testing, and the testing team has submitted a bug and they have put some screenshots at the end. So that will come as one of the line items over here, which will be assigned to a particular team. What the testing team can do is that they can click on this attachment button and add the supporting screenshots of the documents. So this way, what will happen? You don't have to run around figuring out where the document is. You know which task you're working on or which task that the bug has been identified. You can just click on that and you can see the document that already available for you over there. Similarly, if you have the project level documents can be saved at the sheet level. So if you go over here at the sheet level, you can keep all the documents so that it's everything available at one place. You come to the sheet, you have everything for you. Similarly, if you want to converse with the, say, for the bug, the development team wants to check with the testing team for some more information, they can quickly open up a chat over there and they can get all the details from that team member. So what happens is that that chat is available at that row level. Yes, you can do it at the sheet level also in case you have you need to do a discussion with the greater audience. But at the sheet level also, you can, at the row level also, you can have a chat and keep everything ready for you. Now, ultimately, as Tina was mentioning, everything needs to roll up at the portfolio level, where the CXOs or the management has a visibility of what all is going on within that organization. Again, as I mentioned earlier, all these components can be configured as per the KPIs and business processes that you have within your organization. So this is something which gives you an idea what are all the projects running within an organization, what are the total efforts that have been consumed and which has been estimated, what are the efforts that have been completed, the number of projects assigned to a particular project manager, the risk by different categories and priority, what are all the active projects and the current dates that they have, the risks that you foresee across the organization, the completed projects. Yes, and these components can go on and on as per your requirements. Yes, one more thing as a project manager, which is very important for all of us, is that we need to send WSS or MSS. So this dashboard is live and up to date based on the latest whatever is happening. So you don't have to prepare a report to send it to your managers or to the CXOs. What you can do is that just take an export of this dashboard. It will export it to a PDF and you can send it across to your manager or to the CXOs or any of the external stakeholders that day. And there are facilities whereby you can release things or give access to your external stakeholders to this dashboard so that they are also up to date as to what is happening with the project. That's all from my side. Thank you. Thanks for attending the webinar. It's over to you, Tina.
Thank you, Sujati. That was really helpful. I hope you all found that equally helpful as I did. I wanted to quickly recap with what you've just seen or Sujati has shown us. So what we have seen is a very simplified process of project management. What we saw is how using Smartsheet form, we can capture and manage our project pipelines, which not only helps us capture the details of the project, but helps us in prioritization as well, so that we can get ahead of a work backlog with an early visibility and demand. In the second piece, we saw how with the click of a button, Smartsheet Control Center can provision our project workspace, creating the sheets, reports, and dashboards so that project managers can drive straight into the work and strategically plan and execute on that work. This really helps eliminate silos and of the disjointed work that a lot of PMO office experiences. And more importantly, it puts those guardrails around the template set or the blueprint, as we call it, allowing us to gain consistency without jeopardizing the flexibility. Last but not the least, what's really important for any business is to have that visibility, which we get through portfolio reporting. And this really drives key helps us drive the key operational decision with real-time visibility and accuracy on the data that we are using. We can always keep a pulse on the metric and status across the portfolio, and eventually really eliminating the time that is spent by a lot of project team members manually collating and collecting and configuring updates for the leaders. Now, before I hand over for the next session, one thing I really want to mention here is what we have seen today is a really scaled down version for the purpose of this presentation. But Smartsheet does have a capability to handle a much maturer framework. So depending on the size, the framework, and the complexity of your organization, the system can be configured to your needs and ability. Thank you, and over to the next session or the next topic.
Thank you so much. That was great. Thank you so much, Tina and Durjati. So now we move on to our next section, which is the poll and expert panel discussion. As mentioned earlier, we will be launching a poll during this segment, and you will be able to see the live poll on your screens right now. You will get 20 seconds to record your answers. And please note that this is a multiple choice answer. So you can check all the boxes that you think are relevant. So the first question is now live. What are your top 3 challenges in project or program management? Requesting all of you to kindly share your responses, and we will see the results live now. So this is how our audience voted for the first question. Tina, it would be interesting to know your view on the poll pulse and if they align with, customer challenges before embarking on the modern work management journey.
Sure, Vidhu. And yes, exactly what we were seeing a minute ago on the screen. Poll results are very in line with what I hear and experience on a day-to-day basis. So one of the top, or if in my experience, the top 3 challenges that I hear with the PMO directors and the different team members that I speak with is definitely a lack of consistency. Everybody using a different template. As a result, there is no standardized way of reporting. More importantly, the stakeholders, because there's no standardized way of reporting, stakeholders don't have visibility on where things are at, right? So visibility is another key one. And of course, having a single source of truth. So within our tech environment, we usually within an organization, we have multiple tech stacks and things are at different places. How do we bring them together? So having that single source of truth is also really important. So just as the poll result said.
Thank you so much, Tina.
Thank you.
So we will now move on to the next question. So this is question number 2. You must now see it on your screen right now. What are your top 3 priorities to rewire your project management portfolio? We will be looking at the poll results shortly on your screen right now. Okay, so thank you so much, everyone, for giving us your responses. Sanjay, as the digital transformation Sherpa to many global Fortune 100 customers, can you share a few snippets on the voice of customers' executive leadership, like the CIO, CTO, or program leadership on work management?
Absolutely. Thanks, Vidhu. And I love the poll answers, kind of relates to a lot of the experience that we've had recently. One of the first things that we hear, in the post-pandemic world is really how do we get our teams to collaborate? How do we get these teams where people are all over the world, remote locations, different time zones and everything, right? How do we get them all on the single pane of glass, right? To be able to collaborate effectively. So I think we see a lot of that here. I mean, in terms of, hybrid work models, remote teams, and so on. The second question, which a lot of the enlightened leaders are beginning to ask us is, how do we avoid frustration and burnouts in these teams, right? Because what we've seen is, and I'm sure, I'm a project manager just like most of the audience here, right? And what we see is that, in any project team, you've got a few people carrying the weight of the project. So these are the people who are not only managing the project, but they're managing the management of the project, right? And they are the first ones to get burnt out. And they're really the pillars for the organization. So we see a lot of that question coming up, especially from enlightened leaders who really are looking at, not just an efficient organization, but an organization that is more effective. The third thing that we see is, I think it very clearly came out in the poll. It's very clear that companies which have better project management tools and wider adoption of project management tools do much better. And project management community in general is always very keen to adopt the latest technologies and latest processes. But we see that adoption of traditional tools is still very low, right? One of the things we are seeing is the top executives actually demanding more citizen project manager friendly tools. And that, I think, is something that also came out in this poll. So really love the the kind of direction that most people are going into, and certainly our experience relates to that.
Thank you so much, Sanjay. So we move on to our last and final poll, and that is, what are the top 3 processes in project management that can significantly transform your work management portfolio? Again, this is also a multiple choice answer, so please input all the choices that are relevant to your organization. We'll have the results shortly on the screen. Thank you so much, everyone, for your responses. So, Kush, project and portfolio management functions are, really at the heart of business and IT strategy. In your opinion, what have been the top priorities from a PPM perspective?
Yeah, Vidya, I guess the people on this webinar have pretty much answered the question, right? So it is really about clearly defining the business objectives, first and foremost. It then comes to managing the inventory of projects, and particularly as it relates to the actual project intake process. Then comes the prioritization of these projects and really leveraging all the data that's available to these projects. And finally, there's the whole concept of standardizing and automating, replicating projects, right, with well-defined templates and workflows and dashboards. So these, I would say, are pretty much in line with what our audience has polled.
Thank you so much, Kush. And Shekhar, what are your perspectives on the rewiring roadmap, and how do we get started with this?
Thanks, Vidyu. I mean, when I was seeing the poll, right, I think what we saw is project work and delivery, visibility, probably some of the top processes that audience feel that they need to transform, right? I think the first step that we typically do is, really identify what are the foundational and the differentiating processes that we really want to embed in our PMO group or organization, right? When you talk about foundational capabilities, I really mean the project and work delivery, resource and capacity planning, visibility. These are the essence, or these are the foundation of every PMO organization, right? And so we need to identify based on the organization. For a pharma organization, it could be different. For a construction giant, it could be different. For an IT organization, it could be different, right? So based on what your core processes are, we first need to identify which are those foundational and which are the differentiating processes, right? Once we've done that, then the next step would be really, say if we've said that, okay, these are the 4 foundational processes, then we need to, do a maturity analysis and say what is the as is and what's the to be, right? When we do an as is, we really try to, as when we typically engage our customers, we first help our customers identify these foundational and differentiating processes. And then we work with the customers to understand what's the as is, what are the pain points, what are the challenges, what are the frustrations, say anything that could, that they want to change and transform. And then we move that as is to a to be model where we make this whole exercise future-proof, right? Future-proof not just from a particular project or a program perspective, but from a portfolio perspective, from an organization perspective. And please keep in mind that the end to be scenario should cater to the entire hierarchy, right? From a project manager to the people who are actually inputting the projects, to the leadership, to the CIO, CTO, and including the CEO as well, right? So that would mean we ensure that we capture the key requirements from each of the stakeholders, incorporated the to be roadmap, and then future-proof it through a common discussion, through group discussions and brainstorming white space sessions. Post that, we work with the customer to lay out a roadmap in terms of a horizon model, right? What is in Horizon 1? Now, Horizon 1 could be, okay, how do we start with transforming the foundational capabilities, right, in the first 6 months or first 3 months? And then what is the Horizon 2, where be different, right? Where we add additional processes, which may be missing right now, but which can add a significant value. And finally, the differentiating capabilities, which could be, how do you do strategic planning into the entire product project and program management portfolio, right? How do we optimize the portfolio? How do we do prioritization of the portfolio? So these are the things that we can bring in. So we have a few key steps that we start with, where we work with the customer, and what we do is we work with the leadership to do a short session, a working session, to lay out these steps and have a preliminary roadmap, and then start the process. And then we are jointly tied to the hip to ensure that they walk the entire roadmap. So yes, I think the not only important to understand, how do we leverage, great platforms like Smartsheet, but also how do we take it to the next step? And that's where IntelliSwift, fills in. And, based on our experience in working with our global Fortune companies, we have a very strong, roadmap and a methodology, to take the power of the platform that Smartsheet offers into reality.
Thank you so much, Shekhar. I do see a few questions in the chat box, so I will take them up now. So we have a question from Rohini. Do we have the ability to grab the key tasks and subtasks of a project via the project intake form?
Tina, would you like to take this?
Sure, I can. So basically, every time you want to capture any data from a user, you can use Smartsheet. So Smartsheet form. So whether it is the key task, subtask, or you want to even do like a poll survey that we were just going through. So you could use forms for any intake data from the user.
Thank you so much, Tina. Thank you, Rohini, for your question. The next one is from Fatima, and she asks, how can we view the portfolio for multiple projects in a program?
Good question, Fatima. So that is what Smartsheet's Control Center capability gives us, right? So Smartsheet's Control Center is a premium app within Smartsheet that links the key metric and summary information from the individual projects and ties it back to your portfolio level project. So at any given time, we have the real-time visibility on across all our projects and what's happening within those.
Thank you. The next question is, I'm a regular user of Smartsheet in a construction company. I'm not able to do date operations on Smartsheet. Smartsheet Help Center also couldn't help. Can you please throw some light on this?
Sure. I would really like to understand from whoever's put that question, what sort of a date operation are you looking for? If you could be specific and send it over to us, we will definitely be able to answer that for you. In addition to that, sounds like you are a Smartsheet user. So if you go into our template gallery or a solution center, and look for formula template, you would find a template which has all Smartsheet formulas that you can leverage and see if what you're looking for is there. If not, do fire off us an email and we will happy to look at that for you.
Thank you so much, Tina. So another question, what makes Smartsheet a better project management tool than other available tools?
I love that question. So it depends what project management tool you're comparing Smartsheet with. I wouldn't particularly name any of the other tools, but what I commonly hear from our users when they come looking for Smartsheet or from their experience with Smartsheet as a project manager tool, they find it a much more simpler to adopt, right? So it's the learning curve of Smartsheet is much less in the users. So you get far greater adoption within the users. Besides that, secondly, they find it very flexible. So, we all understand the business changes, then requirements changes. What works today may not work in 3 months, 6 months time. So that flexibility to evolve as your business evolves, your templates, your project management framework is there with Smartsheet. And most importantly, the free collaborator model that Smartsheet offers really makes it a very commercially viable project management tool. Now, these are just top 3 that I could think of on top of my head, but there are a lot more. If you are looking for a specific comparison, do reach out and we can provide you with that.
Yeah, and just to add to that as well, Tina.
Sure.
So really, there's 5 things that come to mind when we think about like the real differentiation. So Tina touched upon obviously the external free collaborator model, which is huge in the context of project management, where you could theoretically be 1,000-person company with only a handful of project managers, and with the way our licensing model works, you can theoretically only need to license the few that are actually initiating and creating projects, but still have hundreds and thousands of people almost come into these sheets and, update items and view things, etc. So the other ones that I wanted to touch on are firstly, security and administration. So when tested at some of the largest organizations and who have some of the most stringent security requirements, Smartsheet really stands up to that test, right? So when it comes to working with federal governments, healthcare companies, which are very protective and sensitive about their data, Smartsheet really beats a lot of competition to a lot of that business. Along with that, the more complex the use case, the more Smartsheet tends to stand out, just because of the way it's architected and the building blocks concept, which Tina went through a little bit earlier in the presentation. And the fact that we've been doing this for 17 years means that we've evolved a lot as our customers have really grown to the point where we are now more moving into strategic transformation type of projects. So definitely come read some of the material on our website to learn more. Then the other couple of areas is, I think Sanjay had touched upon it earlier, but citizen development. The old school project management tools are really kind of developer friendly. But what we've seen amongst our customer base is that, people really want the power to do things themselves. Developers are a scarce resource. It's expensive to customize solutions in some of the more traditional systems. So you really want a handful of people to be able to go out there, create their own projects, create their own reports, their own dashboards, their own automation. So Smartsheet really empowers our customers to do that. And finally, we've got a tool called resource management, which is also like an add-on to Smartsheet. So there's almost no solution out there which kind of has that level of integration and capability to manage your human resources in conjunction with your core kind of project management capabilities. So yeah, we would say that these are some of the more common reasons why we tend to win.
Thank you so much, Tina and Kush, for your responses. The next question was from Ishika. From where did we find the portfolio dashboard?
So Ishika, the control center, that's what it does. So when we define a template, we define a portfolio dashboard as well, and it automatically, when it spins up the project workspace and a project dashboard, it feeds it into the portfolio dashboard. So you can find it. If it's been configured correctly, you could find it on your left-hand panel if you're familiar with Smartsheet. Yeah.
Thank you. So the next one is, in Agile project management, we also use Atlassian Jira or Azure board for managing development project in terms of progress of the project, time estimation for project completion, work burn down, remaining work, velocity reporting, etc. So how is Smartsheet different from Jira or Azure board?
Sure. So when we're talking with Jira, one of the things that I commonly hear from our customers is who are working in Jira is they don't have good visibility into how the project is progressing, right? And this is where we leverage Smartsheet Jira connector to connect to bring the information with from Jira into Smartsheet, and then use dashboards to kind of get a better visibility into, what does the burn down look like? What does this next sprint on the current sprint looks like? How are we tracking with respect to the overall health of a project? And I think that piece, that visibility piece, is really the missing piece when we're looking at Jira in particularly.
Thank you, Tina. So I'm using Smartsheet, but I want to really learn from scratch. What is the best way?
Kush is typing an answer there, but in short, there are multiple places that you can leverage. You could use our help center online to get some information. There are user forums that you can leverage. We have a YouTube channel where there are a lot of short videos that you can look at. And you can also sign up for if you're a Smartsheet customer already, you can even sign up for a Smartsheet University training program. And we can send that information over to you.
IntelliSwift also provide training services, from my understanding, so you could reach out to IntelliSwift as well.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that too.
Thank you. The next question is there a possibility of applying predecessors also for newly added columns like actual start and actual end? I see that they are only applied to start and end columns. This question is from Vishal.
Good question, Vishal. So if you notice when we're in the predecessor cell, there is a tiny pencil icon. If you click on that pencil icon, it brings up a pop-up window that allows you to make those adjustments. So I think it's from start to finish or finish to start, and couple other ones that I don't remember on top of my head. But yes, there is an option to configure those.
Thank you, Tina.
And if you can I just also add, we do like if you Google how to configure predecessors in Smartsheet, you would probably kind of find step-by-step instructions online.
Okay, we have another anonymous question. How can a part of project delivery of a particular team within the waterfall project model be managed within Smartsheet for resource management? Gantt chart is more for agile and has not been able to adapt for waterfall yet.
Okay, so there are a couple of things that I'm hearing in this question. When we're talking about agile and waterfall methodologies, there are more methodologies of how we want to manage our project, right? And that is where the power of Smartsheet comes in, that we can configure our blueprint to manage any type of framework, whether it's fishbone, waterfall, agile, etc. So you could have multiple different blueprints. They can all roll up into the same portfolio dashboard. So that's one part of the question. But what I'm also hearing is you want to understand how does resource management ties into Smartsheet. So if we have a project plan where we have different tasks assigned to different users, how can we get visibility into the resources and what they're working on? And for that particular section, what we have is a resource management by Smartsheet. It is primarily geared towards resource management that allows you to schedule your resources across different projects, assign them based on their availability, and then run some analytics for capacity planning, etc. So it's a separate module, and during the demo, Durjati gave us like a quick sneak peek about how that looks like, if you remember. But yeah, happy to touch more upon this if you would like. But try looking at resource management by Smartsheet to answer that question.
Thank you, Tina. Another question from Rohini. My projects use a hybrid approach, and when we add additional tasks, the baseline feature given by Smartsheet is not flexible enough to automatically record the variance. Thus, we have to reset, making project management very difficult. Do you have any recommendations for this?
It's a hybrid approach, and we had additional tasks. Rohini, I'd like to understand if you're using work breakdown structure as well, because that allows you to insert additional row items between two rows, and kind of works with your predecessors, etc. But this is something that we'll have to take it offline because it's not a very straightforward and a simple one-liner answer that I can give for this. I'll have to look into this.
Okay. What would be the capacity the Smartsheet report would hold?
Not sure what you mean in terms of the number of rows. If it's number of rows, yeah. So the individual sheet within Smartsheet can have up to 20,000 rows, which we're also looking to expand this year and go and have a much larger volume. And the reports are in line with what a Smartsheet can hold.
All right. I had one last question for Sanjay. So, Sanjay, what are some of, can you elaborate on a couple of customer successes that have derived significant value in their transformation journey? So we had received questions.
Sure with you. Can you hear me? Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, one of the best things about Smartsheet is we get to work with a variety of different customers and some very important programs that they're managing. In fact, I remember one of the recent ones that we were involved with was a very large manufacturing company, a packaging manufacturing company, which has a very large 2030 sustainability initiative across the organization. And there were so many moving parts, so many different parts of the organization that are involved in that project. And it's a very long running project. It's not a short-term project. So Smartsheet was the only way they were able to bring all of those folks together on a single page with, teams which were distributed in different departments and so on. Not only that, they're also using Smartsheet very effectively for new product development. They're about $1 billion company, lots of new products on the way. So that's one of the recent successes that I would point out. Another interesting one was actually, there's a few that I could think of, but another one was in the construction management space. One of the customers that we're working with is a large mechanical and HVAC and other, construction management company based out of Southern California. And they're essentially using Smartsheet for all of their field service operations. So managing their equipment in the field, managing the field service technicians and stuff like that. I mean, it's become so sophisticated over a period of time. Sometimes, we're like, when you're looking at the dashboards and just the richness of the information that we're providing and the maturity of the workflows that we're implementing in Smartsheet, sometimes people don't believe that we're using Smartsheet for that. So it's a very scalable product. You can do things that you wouldn't imagine when you first get started.
Thank you so much, Sanjay. Shekhar, do you quickly want to touch on how can we help people get started?
Yeah, thanks with you. I've seen a few more questions that have not been answered. We definitely will come back to you. We've noted down all the questions, and you will receive an email response specific to the question that you've asked. And if you need more clarifications, we'll be glad to get into a call as well, right? Final slide for this webinar, just to give you some perspectives on how you could get started in your journey. I talked about how, as IntelliSwift, we could take you through a well-structured methodology to ensure that you choose the right platform for your project management office, and then how you could take it further, right? So the first step would be really, download the Smartsheet trial version. We have a QR code here. We'll also send you an email with a link which you could download for free. You could try that out. And again, we have an early discount for 20% discount for all new license, new signups, and which we could give it today and probably in the next couple of days as well. If you need a little detailed demo to your team and your leadership, we'd be glad to schedule one with your organization and walk you through the key processes that may be very relevant to you after understanding a bit about the context of why and how it could help you. And finally, having downloaded a free trial, you really like it and you want to spend some quality time in trying to pilot a few key processes, we could be a part of that exercise as well. And what we call a test drive. And this test drive is actually doing or implementing a particular template and running through the whole 9 yards, in a short, take a project which could span a couple of months, and then we could see how we could test drive the entire platform and, weigh the benefits and then, expand to a larger organization. So, yeah, we are flexible and very eager to hear from you in terms of how we could collaborate and, take the first step towards, rewiring your project management.
Thank you so much, everybody, for attending this webinar. Please don't hesitate to contact us if you have any questions or you want to dive deeper. We have the discount, like Shekhar suggested. And I want to sincerely thank our panelists, Kush, Tina, Shekhar, and Sanjay. Thanks to Durjati for the demo, and of course, a very warm thank you to all of you who attended. And we'd love to see you again in our next webinar.